airplane videos, everything you want to know on this episode of In the Hangar.
I used to be a well-respected member of the aviation community, and then I started flying to Cirrus, and that changed.
Oh, that was great until the engine quit.
And all of a sudden I see these explosions and these trees exploding.
I'm walking away a better pilot because of this discussion.
Welcome to this edition of In the Hangar. We have an expert panel of video bloggers for the aviation industry. To my left here is Brian Turner from Just Plain Silly.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I have Mr. Aviation 101, but no Mr. anymore, Josh Flowers. Josh, thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here.
And Eric Johnston. Eric, you do a lot of incredible photography and video. So, all right, guys, I've been wanting to do this show for a long time. I'm glad you guys could all be here. So let's talk about the number one question that you guys get as video bloggers in the aviation industry. Let's start with Josh. What do you think is the question you get asked the most?
Probably the question I've been getting the most recently is, why did I start the channel? It's a very common question, and it's kind of a loaded question. It's kind of hard to get into all of that, but I didn't really start the channel with the intention of making it go somewhere. I just kind of started sharing videos. I've always been into video and obviously always been into flying, and I just kind of combined the two and ran with it one day, and it took off, pun completely intended.
Brian, how about you?
Were you dropped on your head as a child? That's probably the number one. I don't get asked questions as much as people just calling me an idiot, and I'm okay with that. But people don't come to me for information about how to do things, so questions aren't really something people...
You know, just talking with you, I'm just amazed that you're even behind the yoke of an airplane.
A lot of people I think are. My instructor was very surprised when I passed the check ride.
Well, he had to sign off on it, so you have that. Eric, what's the number one question you get asked?
I think that's a big one. You know, why did you start it? And I think sharing aviation is a big part of it. You know, that's probably why, you know, Josh is a flight instructor and so forth. Is that, you know, aviation, it runs deep, it runs thick, you know, and I think it's so rewarding to be able to share that with somebody and see that light bulb go off and go, wow, look how wonderful this stuff is, and it's really cool, you know. And the best friends that I have in my life are from aviation, so it's nice to just pay it forward, you know.
You know, what we do, you know, all of us, you know, we do it because we love it. We do the aviation videos and things like that because we just really enjoy it. So let me ask you this, because you're putting yourself out there in the public, we're going to get great comments most of the time, and that's awesome. But every once in a while, there'll be the negative comments. How do you handle that? You know, Eric, I mean, I know recently you got like tagged like, hey, why are you posting so many pictures or something, right?
Oh. Yeah, I got put in Facebook jail. I do. Whenever I, you know, it goes back to sharing it, and hopefully I'm not. I don't want to share it too much. I don't want to get, you know, I don't want to be an annoyance to people, but you know, it does help to share it on several Facebook pages. And
right.
You know, sometimes I'll be up at work and or in a situation where I'll do it, then I'll have to go do something, and I'll go back and I go, did I share it on this page or not? I'll do it again.
Right.
And Facebook goes, no, you can't do that. You know, we're gonna put some shackles on you for a day.
Facebook jail.
Yeah, Facebook jail for a week. And boy, you talk about, you know, what do I do? I can't post. I can't even like that one. I like it a lot, you know?
So have you been in jail?
Haven't been in Facebook jail. I've had plenty of negative comments. My favorite, I had someone told me I deserved to be on an NTSB report once, and I thought that was pretty harsh. I could, like, if you say that's not funny, you're an idiot, it's fine, but I thought, because as much as, you know, I'm not sharing aviation, I'm trying to get a punchline out. And as much as it's silly or whatever, I think I'm a pretty safe pilot. I'll go fly for an hour and, you know, I edit out the scanning for traffic and the traffic calls and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I'll film sitting on the ground with the camera angle looking back there, because I really do try to be safe. So that, when I get a comment like that, it kind of irritates me, because I get it. I'm going for a punchline, but I am also at the same time trying to be as safe as I know how to be.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, to that end, that's been mine, is that people like, well, you weren't scanning for traffic. Yeah, I was. I edited that out.
There's so much more behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys know, and you do too, that there's so much concern for safety, so much protocol that we go through, that it's boring to watch.
Right.
You know, I mean, who wants to watch a 4-hour video of flying for an hour?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Well, that would be plain. I didn't say it. So Josh, negative comments, what do you get?
Oh, absolutely. And I think myself being young when I started, I was like a magnet for negative comments, you know, because people knew they
The
could get under
Doogie
my skin.
Howser kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, people knew that they could kind of get under my skin and easily get to me. And at first it was annoying. And there were a lot of times where I was like, man, I just want to stop doing this. But of course, I pushed through and eventually just grew thick skin and stopped paying attention to it.
It's
You
exactly
get used to it. You do get used
You're
to
so
it.
prolific, because so I'm on, like I read people online all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to mess with them too much, because like you get trashed on Reddit so bad, and I'm like, man, I feel bad. Like, what did this guy do?
I look myself up on Reddit regularly, believe me.
You get
horrible.
trashed on Reddit?
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh, yeah.
seen it.
Oh yeah. Oh, Google my name. You'll find it.
It's
I
like,
didn't
was like,
realize that.
I'm like trying to figure out your videos, like, what did he kill a guy or something? But I'm like, I don't see it. But
Well, there's a big aspect to it of you got to consider that when you're on social media like that, people don't personally know you.
right.
Yeah.
And people can confuse, if you're confident in the airplane or you have good verbal articulation on the radios or what, they can confuse that with, oh, well, he's just an arrogant pilot.
Sure.
And that's
Well,
what people are going to come out of the
And
bag.
I
with.
think a lot of that's coming too from they're probably jealous. Well, I could do that and I didn't do that. And look at, you know, anytime you have success like that, you know, haters are gonna hate.
That's right.
And I'm not even a licensed pilot, but the opportunities that I get to fly in this airplane, that airplane, whatever, you know, people all the time will say, "You're so lucky," and believe me, I know I am.
Yeah.
I never take it for granted, and I never go, "I'm better than you," never. No. But there's always the keyboard warriors out there. That
I
just-
do get to say I'm better than you, and that's one sort of function that I like about
Well,
my channel.
I'm glad we established that today.
WorldsGreatestPilot.com.
He's got worldsgreatestpilot.com. You want to know who has worldsokayestpilot.com?
Oh, that's
Whatever you do, I got to do one better. So tell me what your plan is.
I nailed down that URL. Nothing's
Really?
there, but I've got it.
Wow.
World's okayest pilot.
That's what matters.
That's what matters. So we talked about the negative. Let's talk about the positive. So let's go reverse. Maybe some kind of really cool, chill, goosebump moment from the channel. Eric?
For me, it would be, there's a few, but you know, I don't just do aviation, I also do veteran video interviews
Right.
as well. And interviewing Richard Graham about the SR-71 was phenomenal.
That was a good video.
And we did 3. We showed up at the Frontiers of Flight Museum to shoot his interview, which was long. It'll actually keep you throughout the whole thing. And I asked him, I like to do educational videos as well, informative, you know. And I go, have you ever tried to do like a cockpit checkout video of the SR-71? He goes, Eric, we've tried, but the cockpit's so small, we can't get the camera back enough. And they have the one simulator that the SR-71 that Lockheed built for the program at the museum. They would wash out the people there before stepping foot in the airplane. They have it right there.
Wow.
So I told him, I go, you know, I got this little GoPro.
Yeah.
So he sat in the seat and he held his GoPro right here and I held the light above him. And it was very impromptu. He just talks about this and that, something like that. It just got over 1 million views recently.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like famous.
Oh man,
You're kind of a
I'm
big
rubbing
deal.
your shoulder here.
You're going to be getting trashed on Reddit soon, buddy. That's how you know you've arrived.
Have you ever looked? I've never looked myself up on Reddit. Really?
Do it. Oh, it's so
Everybody's on Reddit, like, even if you don't want to be.
Depressed.
So Josh, positive moment.
There's so many of them, and I recently got back from Oshkosh. I know you did too. When I have meetups there, and I give my fans kind of a time and place to come talk to me, and I love feedback that I get from them. And when they come to me and they say your videos are why I started flying, that's why I make the videos. Forget the attention, forget the cool airplanes I get to fly, forget all of that. That's why. Making a difference in somebody's life, there's nothing like it. And when people come to me and tell me that over and over and over again at Oshkosh, it's unreal. So that's a big positive for the
be
channel.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, one of the number one questions that I see on the web a lot and social media are from pilots and people who have no clue as to how to put a camera in an airplane. So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of that. You know, how did you start? You know, what do you say to somebody who says, you know, I want to make an airplane video, how do I do it? What do you say?
The first thing I say is, why do you want to do it? Because I do know of a lot of people that they want to start a YouTube channel and they want to start making videos because they see all of us doing it. But I get the feeling they want to do it for the wrong reasons. They want to do it because they want the attention, and they want the shoe-in to get to fly cool airplanes and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You got to do it because you really love it and you just want to share it. That's why I do it. And I don't know if I'm sure you guys
We're
feel
not
the
after
same.
the fame.
We're not after the fame.
Right.
So the first.
Well, he is, but
Well, this guy. Every blind squirrel finds a net every day.
right, exactly.
At Oshkosh, they tell me you're the reason I stopped flying. So a little bit different.
Yeah. But I guess a kind of a, not aside from the nuts and bolts of it, that's the first thing I'd say to them is do it for the right reasons. And the second thing I'd say is, do you know what you're getting yourself into as far as equipment goes?
Right.
Have you been on Reddit?
Yeah, have
You
you,
know
been
where
on,
this
have you been on
leads?
Reddit?
Where it leads to
Yeah.
a very dark
Right.
social media hole.
I think a big part of it, though, is just do it.
Right.
You know, if you're not sure how to do it, reach out to the people. Reach out.
Yeah.
Any one of us is going to be willing to share any information we
Right.
can with you. And because we've gone through the trial and error, learning the good ways, the bad ways, the safe ways, whatever. And just always remember, keep safety paramount. Safety is paramount. Safety and then fun. You take away either one of those, it's really not worth doing.
That's a great segue. Let's talk about safety for a minute, because I know that when I'm shooting plane videos on the plane, for me, I take a moment to set the cameras up on the ground and get it all taken care of and get them out of my way, and then I put on the pilot hat and get the checklist and do my walkthrough and everything else. I really try to separate it so I'm not messing with cameras while I'm trying to be a pilot.
When you're flying, you need to fly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And what else do you guys do for safety in this regard?
Well, for me, it's definitely the set it and forget it mentality. I set everything up, mount everything. Everything's automated.
Right.
And I get it recording before that master switch comes on. And I put on my pilot hat. And if a camera dies, a camera falls off the window.
Exactly.
Well, you had a video recently where that happened. You guys were taking off and the camera went wonky and you just kind of completely ignored it.
Oh, that's right, with Tamara, yes. So during my, speaking of, anyway. Yes, I had an Osmo that I mounted right here, and the stupid thing came loose on takeoff.
It was like right in your face,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's just you fly the plane.
Yeah.
I had that happen on I had it on Matt Bonger's the co-pilot position on the B-25. Had a suction cup right there, and B-25 vibrates a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. So, he shows him, then all of a sudden the camera goes boom. And he, thank God he didn't, we're flying information. Was it on the Connie trip? It may be on the Connie trip. He just picks it up, readjusts it, and just keeps on flying. But it's things like that you try to avoid.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I haven't used the Osmo in that position since, so got to find a better way.
I had one on the wing once, then I had a suction cup down and it fell. And it was very tempting to climb out in flight and go set it back up. But I didn't.
But you didn't.
No.
Because you had to fly the plane first.
Right, absolutely. So
I think there's a reg about seatbelts. too.
Probably.
But I mean,
Aviate, navigate, communicate,
true.
and fixate on your camera.
well, yeah.
Building a social media channel. Let's talk about that for a minute. Anybody can set up a YouTube channel. What do you do to get your YouTube channel out there? Let's start with Eric.
Facebook is great free advertising.
Okay.
It's great.
Until you get into jail.
Until you get into jail, yeah, you got to be careful with it. But the biggest thing is don't be a turd.
Which is one of
Don't be a
Chris
jerk.
Pratt's 9 rules.
That's actually
Yes.
where I got
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
I was picturing him right when I said that. And
Absolutely.
It hits home.
Yeah.
You laugh, but it's like, I understand it.
Yeah.
But you're talking about pilots. That's a really hard rule.
That's
I didn't say
now and
that.
then.
I didn't say that. Okay.
Every now and then you will run into, but this goes with any line of work that you do, you'll run into the person with arrogance.
I'll tell you this, and maybe I'll have the courage before too long, but I've got one video that I've edited I haven't posted. And because of somebody breaking that Chris Pratt rule, we were about to go up, and there was an encounter with somebody with one of my passengers who was being a turd, and it was a big thing. And it kind of knocked me out of the right mindset. And we took off, and I had a minor problem. The landing gear didn't go up. But because I wasn't in the proper frame of mind, I was like, oh, and I just made sure it was locked and returned, pulled up to the hangar, and oh yeah, the fuse. You know, if I checked the checklist, it was like the first thing.
Well,
You know,
things
but-
happen.
Yeah.
You know, things happen, and that's the dilemma that we deal with. Is that, do you post that? Do you put that out there,
Yeah.
or do you only do the polished stuff?
Yeah,
If,
and that's
if you post it, it's probably gonna be fine. Nothing
Well,
doesn't-
yeah, and
but
there's
get ready
absolutely
for
some
the backlash from
things that-
keyboard warriors out there.
I'm sure every one of us, there are probably some things we would never post. You know, we certainly don't want to get that call to the FSDO, but
Why'd you just wink at me?
okay, maybe not you.
There's some things we're not going to post.
You realize how much material I have that I can't use?
Well, some more than others.
I mostly have regrets after I post things. Yeah. Cringe.
We totally forgot where we were at. Okay, so
How to build a social
how to
media
build
platform.
Josh,
Yeah.
you've kind of built a social media presence.
More or
What
less.
yeah, more or less, especially on Reddit. What's
Fair
the,
point.
What's the secret?
I don't think there's really a secret. It's a culmination of a lot of things, but I find the most important thing is just to do what you want to do and be yourself. I mean, just post what you want to post and edit things how you want to edit things, and just make it you. Because if you don't make it you, then you're making it somebody else's. And at that point, what's the purpose? It's not unique, you know. So I think the most important thing is to do what you want to do. Try and be unique as much as possible, and put yourself out there. And if you know,
And if it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's just what it is.
Do it to have fun.
do it to have fun.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
And if you do it enough, it'll grow.
Right. Start doing it to have fun, and then if you build it, they will come. That kind of thing.
Is that true, Brian?
Yes, I'm only in it to have fun, and I would say, unique and doing me. I don't.
Do you?
I do. On video.
Got one word for
So
you.
nervous.
Filter.
That's not me though. I mean, that would
You
be
mean like the prop filter? So,
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
no filter.
Let's go, each one of you. Where are you wanting to go with your aviation videos, Eric?
Want to go up? No, I'm sorry, I couldn't
Take
resist
off.
that.
Taking
yeah.
off.
Positive rate. gear up.
No, the really just the same direction that it has been. Just building the fan base and exploring. I love doing the walk around videos. I love doing the flying videos and the different aircraft that I'm able to bring to people. Like when I first started approaching people about doing a walk around video, pilots like, "Oh, you want to videotape me doing a pre-flight?" No, that's not the walk around I'm talking about. It's like, what's that scoop for? What's this, that? Well, I mean, V speeds, gear speed, everything is very, 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 very nerded out. And but my photography is starting to take off a little bit too now. So I've had some amazing opportunities, and I'd like to just kind of, keep growing with that.
Well, you're a phenomenal photographer too.
I just take
That
other people's-
helps.
I just
Yeah,
take
that
other-
helps.
I just take other people's pictures.
Yeah, does
put my
skill
logo
come
on
into
there.
it at all? Well, at least
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, skill does come into play on at least some things.
And some things.
But I've reached out to the guys that are a lot better than me. Glenn Watson, Tyson Reniger, Scott Slocum, Paul Bowen. Those big net. You say those guys. Well, I know who they are. Yeah.
Right.
So I go, how do you do that? Safety is paramount. Keep that first. The fun's going to happen, and then do this and this to make your photos better.
So Brian, what about you? Where do you want to see your channel go?
I just wanted to get on Reddit. I just want to get. I don't know. Because of how I do it, my wife keeps nudging me to not just do aviation stuff because it's such a small niche thing, and she's like, because I'm not, call myself funny or whatever. Just on this channel at the house, I'm doing stuff, and she's like, you need to record yourself doing more, just kind of like dad stuff or whatever other stuff. I have non-aviation related blogs and stuff, but I've never done any video stuff. So probably at some point I'll get nudged into having another channel that's not necessarily.
How long have
aviation.
you been doing stand-up comedy?
I've never done stand-up comedy.
Could have fooled me.
How long have you had your YouTube channel?
Yeah, okay, well, it's not stand-up, it's aviation.
And Josh, how about you?
Well, that's a question I've been getting a lot lately because I just recently executed
Right.
a brand change or a name
Right.
change, and it started out as Mr. Aviation101, a name that was created like 9 years ago.
When you were like 6.
You're already calling yourself Mr. at
I'm
6.
gonna filter. Well, I'm gonna watch
filter.
yeah, that's right. No, I think it was time. The videos have been improving over time, and just like Eric said earlier, aviation really runs deep. And there was a moment when my dad and I, just this last time coming into Oshkosh, we were on our way in and we switched from Madison approach to Fisk approach, and we heard the controllers, doing their spiel, single file over the railroad tracks, monitor tower, welcome to Oshkosh.
Turn left, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember my dad and I looked at each other, and it was like a moment that we just both got chills up our backs, and we were like, whoa, we're here, this
cool
is
when they say
awesome,
that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of the feel that I'm trying to put across in my videos. And I had a video a while back that a buddy of mine who's in film was watching, and it looked very mechanical to him, and he was like, man, when I pick up a magazine and read a magazine during your video, you probably need a format change. I was like, all right, call me. Let's talk about this, because I'm
Right.
curious to hear what you have to say about it. And the very next video after that, I flew with a buddy in a jet, and I said, well, hey, can I sit down and ask you some questions about your aviation love story, basically? And that's what we did, and it ended up being like one of my favorite videos to date. And
So you sat down on the ground, not in the plane?
Yeah. So we did a bunch of filming in the plane,
Right.
and I had a very nice camera with me at night, and it was beautiful. And I sat down with him and set up kind of a studio setting and stuff, and just kind of took a cinematic approach to it. And ever since then, that's just kind of what I've been trying to do. Because to me, it feels right, and I needed my buddy to kind of kick me in the rear to get me into gear to realize that's what I wanted to do. So
It's worked well.
I appreciate that.
It's worked well because, I don't watch your videos, but I've heard people.
You read about him on Reddit.
You've read about him on Reddit.
I've heard people say that you've gotten a lot better, and so I'm happy for you.
I appreciate that. Thanks for what that's worth.
How many threads are going to pop up as a result of this video on Reddit? I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
What Josh probably failed to mention when going into Oshkosh, I went back in 1999. I've always wanted to go back. But what's cool, I think, with Josh is he calls in 809 and 901. They said, everybody get out of the way.
Yeah, notice he said that moment that he was flying and transferred over to the controllers, and they said, welcome to Osh. And I'm thinking, well, where was the turn left at Fisk that Brian Turner got for 3 hours?
Yeah.
No, they just
See, they don't do that to me.
Yeah.
There was actually not a hole. No one was in it. They're just messing
He
with me.
calls in, he requests the flowers.
Grumman,
approach,
sorry, we're
and everyone
full.
knows what it is.
That's right.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Last question. So, with the negative, the positive, when you start putting yourself out there and people start responding, you become, kind of a big deal. So how do you stay grounded, and how do you keep it real, Eric?
Pay it forward. Never forget your roots, and always remember you were that kid on the other side of the fence.
Okay.
Going wow. And every chance you get, and I learned this, and it was reiterated as my friendship with Scott Glover has matured. And he has taught all of his guys, at the end of the day, when we're giving rides and all that stuff, whatever, it's hot, it's over 100 degrees, whatever, you're doing rides, and that one last kid walks up and goes, wow. He goes, you put that kid in the airplane, you go flying.
Right.
Some friends of mine took pictures of Scott on Lou 4 on this Mustang in Oshkosh. You may have seen it. He's the only Mustang guy out there letting people sit in the cockpit and spending time with him. People are going to remember that forever.
Yeah.
Forever. How many people get to sit in a Mustang? A few people that day.
How do you keep it real?
I'm real big on, I still have an awe every time I go up in a plane and just remind myself when I'm flying, like how lucky I am that I live in a time that we get to do this, in a country we get to do this. I'm in IT, and so I work with a lot of people that aren't from the United States, and I met this one girl, and she's like, oh, you're a pilot. She goes, I didn't even know that was an option. And then so she went over to Addison Airport and took a flight lesson, and it was like, I was like, that's kind of grounding, just to go like, you really are lucky. For so many reasons, but this is one of them where it's like most people don't own a plane or get to go fly. I fly to Austin to have breakfast at that, one of those restaurants down there. And it's like you say that, and you can key on people going, tell me more about this. And you're like, yeah, this is a privilege, and it's a big deal. And so just the whole, like, if I ever fly a plane and I don't find myself like amazed, like, I get to do this, someone trusts me to do this, and the FAA lets me do it, all this kind of thing. So I'm still, for 500 some odd hours now, I just still have that like awe, and that really keeps me in check and humble. Just, it's a privilege, and it's that's probably the biggest thing for me, is just I haven't gotten complacent.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Josh, how do you keep it real?
I don't think I can say it much better than this guy can.
Whatever.
You took the words right out of my mouth. But I think an important part of it is, just like Brian said, stay humble. And nothing humbles me more than watching myself fly. And you catch your mistakes. And I think the most important thing is, keep your confidence up, keep your proficiency up, but don't be afraid to totally trash yourself and be very critical on yourself. And if you missed a checklist item, nail yourself for it in post-production when you're editing it, and make sure it doesn't happen again. That's a good way to keep yourself grounded. And the other thing is just, we were all that kid on the other side of the fence once. I feel bad when I charge their parents for a discovery flight, because I just want to take them flying.
Right.
And I see how engrossed they are in it, and I remember what it was like as a kid to be like that. So that's pay it forward. And I feel like the channel is the best way that I can pay it forward in the biggest way possible.
I feel bad charging people money too, because I'm not legally allowed
commercial.
to. So, but I do it.
Well, you talked about how the FAA allows you to do that, and we'll see how long that lasts.
It's fine. It's a green screen. It's not real money.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of In the Hangar. It was great having these guys. I really appreciate you guys all being here.
Thank you.
And please make sure you share, subscribe, and leave lots of Reddit comments. Thanks.